this is Amanda, and this is part 5 of my video series, Tips to Save Dollars on Your Groceries. And this week, this is our last week, and we're talking with our final 8 tips to help you save money. So these are just like the last minute things that don't really go into any category, but just little things that you should know to help you save money on your groceries. Of course, everything that we're talking about comes from my series, How I Feed My Family of 5 for $100 Every Month. I will link that series down in the description box. I wrote that several years ago when that was my budget, and we only had 5 people in our family. And of course, now we have 6 people in our family, and our budget has increased significantly to $65 a week for our family of 6, which is about $240 a month. And of course, everybody's grown up. I got big guys in my house. I got 4 grown men in the house, and I've got me and my 15-year-old daughter. So all grown people on $65 a week. That's a little over $10 a person, and we do it. It works. So I'm trying to share my tips with you, and I hope it's helpful to you. And we're going to talk about those last 8 tips that I have. And tip number 1, are you ready for it? Always buy only what is least expensive. Now, I know that probably sounds like, well, yeah, of course I'm only buying what's least expensive, but no. Always buy only what is least expensive. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you're going to buy only what's at its lowest price, okay? So there are some things that you're going to need every week. We've talked about it. You got to look at I'll be linking at the top all of the other videos with all of the other instructions on how I do things. But in terms of, this is after you've bought the things that you need. Okay, you should have made a list. You should have made a meal plan. You should have some things that you need to finish out that meal plan, some things that you actually need to stock up on. After those are bought, then you should have a large portion of your grocery budget that you are doing a stock up, that you're getting all the things that you need. And those are the things that you're always going to get at the least expensive price. So if you need to fill up your meat, maybe your freezer is empty and you need a lot of meat in your house, you are going to be buying only what's at the lowest price wherever you are. So if that means that you're just getting a bunch of chicken, that means you're getting a bunch of chicken. If that means that beef is on sale, you're getting beef. If that means it's fish, it's fish. But whatever it is, that's what you're buying this week. It's not what you feel like. It's not what the family wants. You're only picking up what's at its lowest price and stocking up on that. If it's produce, same thing. Usually that's going to be what's seasonal, but that's usually what's best for you anyway, right? So you're going to be happy with that. But you're going to make meals with whatever is currently on sale at the best price and the things that you stocked up on. So for instance, last week I got broccoli, and so I needed to put broccoli on my menu plan because I got a bunch of broccoli and I got it on a good sale. And so I decided I couldn't put it on because it was Thanksgiving week and there just wasn't a lot of places to put broccoli. So I'm like, I'm making broccoli soup and we're going to have it for lunch, and anything that's not eaten we're going to freeze. But that's what I bought because that was on sale and that's what I got a good price on. So you're only buying what's least expensive and you're making your meals around that. Okay, you're not stocking up on stuff that you like to have around or what everybody feels like. You're only getting the best deals and stocking up on those. And then when you have those in your cabinet, then you can make your meals with the lowest possible price. Make sense? Okay. One thing I do want to say about that, though, is that a lot of times people say, well, so I got a lot of chicken. I don't have the same thing every night. Well, hopefully you stocked up on a previous week with other things. So you're not just constantly in a place where you just have only chicken in your freezer. But I'll be honest with you. In my freezer right now is a bunch of chicken and a bunch of turkey. Ground turkey, turkey sausage, different forms, but it's all poultry. I really don't have any beef because we ran out of our local grass-fed beef. So when I go to the store, I'm constantly looking for beef deals. But in the meantime, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break it up. We'll have a turkey sausage one night and we'll bake a chicken another night. And then I do have a little bit of fish. I might break that up with a little bit of fish. And we're going to try to mix it up so it doesn't feel like we're constantly having the same thing. And if my family really feels like they need some beef, I might get one thing of beef just to kind of stretch it out and make people feel like they're not having the same thing all the time. But my main goal is to only use what's least expensive. And until I find a good deal on beef, we're going to make it do on what we have, and I'm going to spread it out so we're having different tastes all the time and everybody doesn't get bored. So that's how you make it work. So my piece of advice number 2 is one that's been a struggle for me, but I still think it's a good piece of advice, and I'm going to share it with you. And that is grow a garden or eat locally. Now, I have struggled for years with the gardening thing. And I grew up with no garden. Like, I never had a garden. We never raised any animals. I have no clue what I'm doing, and I have failed it the last few years, and I have failed publicly. So believe me, I know it's challenging, but there are a lot of people who grew up with a garden, who grew up doing that with their granny or their mom, and they know how to do it, but they just don't. Maybe you don't have time. It's something you've gotten away from. Let me encourage you, if you really need to cut your budget down, make use of those skills. Go out and grow yourself a little patch of something. Even if you're growing a little bit, you might not think it'll make that much of a difference, but it really will. So this is winter time. This is time when we're thinking about gardening, not really actually getting out there and growing it so much. Start planning. Start planning for the spring. And if you're like me and if you struggled with it, keep trying. You know, we're going to keep trying. We have a plan already for next year, my husband and I do. We're going to go for it. Eventually, we're going to get it right. And he's not letting me share what the plan is for next year because we failed so much publicly. He said I have to keep it to myself until we actually succeed. But we're going to keep trying. Keep trying. Don't give up. Grow whatever you can grow. That is going to be your lowest price possible. But if you can't grow it, another great way is to connect with your local farmers. So we just bought we just bought grass-fed beef from someone in our homeschool group. And, you know, it's great to connect with local farmers and try to get a good price that way. Also, I don't have an apple orchard. I don't have room for an apple orchard. It would take me years to grow one, even if I did. So there's local apple orchards that I can go and get bags of seconds and make, you know, applesauce or apple pie filling. But take advantage of the people who are around you and, you know, get to know them and start getting food from them that they've grown. And it'll probably be comparable to your grocery store prices. And at the same time, you can know you're getting the best quality of food for your family. So let me encourage you 100% to either grow your own food or eat locally in order to save money on your grocery budget and get the highest quality food. To that end, you want to freeze or can whatever you can. So if you're buying a lot of things and stocking up on them because they're at the lowest possible price, and you've grown them or gotten them from your local farmer, then you're going to need to freeze and can some things just to make sure that they're going to stretch for the longest period of time. So make sure you have those skills. And it's really not complicated. I'll make sure I link at the top. I have a video on freezing vegetables. Some things that I get and freeze all the time are celery, peppers, onions, because you know what? Not only is it cost saving, but it's also time saving to sit and cut up a bunch of onions at one time when you're doing it and then freeze them. And the next time you need cut onions, you've already got a bag full of them pre-cut and it's less work for you to do. So do that whenever you have some time. Like I just got a bunch of celery. It was on sale for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be cutting that up and putting it in a bag and having it in my freezer. And then anytime I need to make myself a mirepoix, there it is. I've got the celery. It's time saving in addition to cost saving. But in terms of cost savings, there's so much food that goes to waste. We're going to talk about that in a second. But there's so much food that goes to waste, you don't want to waste it. Make sure you're freezing it whenever possible, canning it if you have the skills, if you have the things. It can sometimes be expensive to get all the materials to can, but you know, get those at thrift stores, buy them when they're on sale. Like Black Friday is a great time to get some things. I know we just had it, so hopefully you picked up things that you needed. Dehydrating is another option. But the goal is just to make sure you're preserving as much as you can because you want everything that you have to last as long as possible. But back to this whole do not waste thing. Okay, do not waste is my tip number 4. And when I'm talking about not wasting, here's what I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about when your child makes a plate and you make them finish it because you don't want to let anything go to waste. That is not what I'm talking about. My big deal is nutrition. I think you encourage your kids to get a small plate, eat everything that's on it, and then if they want to get a second plate, great. But the goal is to teach them to, you know, listen to their bodies and think wisely, not to force them to shove something down just because they made a giant plate. That's not healthful for them, and that's really not your goal as a parent. Okay, so when I'm talking about not wasting, what I'm talking about is not letting food that you purchase go to waste. So when you've bought hamburger and you've taken it out to thaw, and then you just like forget about it, or you guys decide to go out to eat, and then you're like, oh, we'll use the hamburger tomorrow night, and then you don't use it the next night, and then you have to throw it away, right? How many of us have done that? Guilty, right? Don't do that. Avoid it as much as possible. Make plans, stick to them. Don't let food go to waste. Same thing with what I talked about with that broccoli. I got all that broccoli, and I made my menu plan, and it was Thanksgiving, and I could have just said, oh, well, I can't fit it in. No, we found a way to fit that broccoli in, even if I had to freeze it. But we're going to find a way to make use of all the things that we get because we're not going to let any of it go to waste. What's the point in working and striving to buy things at the lowest price and save the money just to throw it away? Okay, then that's put all of that energy to nothing. You want to make sure that you are using every single thing that you have. Don't let any of it go to waste. Structure, plan, make sure everything is happening in order so that you can use all the stuff that you have in a timely manner. If you see that something is going bad, switch your plans and use it first, but make use of every single thing that comes in your house as quickly as possible. So tip number 5, the best way to make sure all of that happens is to make sure that one person is in charge of all of the groceries in the entire kitchen. I used to joke and call myself the kitchen czar or the grocery czar. I don't joke like that anymore. I don't really like that title. But anyway, so, but you do have to have one person in charge of it all, because a lot of times working parents, and Rick and I have been there was a time that he and I both worked, and we didn't save the most money that we could because he was just trying to do whatever he could when he was off, and I was trying to do whatever I could when I was off, and we didn't really know what was going on in the kitchen. I didn't know what he used. He didn't know what I used, so we would go to the grocery store, and I would think we need, like, what do we need? Oh, ketchup's on sale, I'll get ketchup, but we already have like 3 things of ketchup. It's not organized. You have to have one person who's in charge of it. One person where the buck stops. One person who knows everything that's in the house, when it's going bad, who knows the grocery meal plans, who can get everything organized. And I know it's a burden and I know it's a lot to put on one person, but somebody's got to take responsibility for it if you're really going to get your grocery budget down to the lowest that it needs to be. And on that point, the other person has to be willing to let the other person do it. So it's a two-way street there. But it's so much easier when you have one person organizing it. They can post a menu plan. Everybody can know what's going on. They can keep everybody notified. They can make sure that everything is going with everyone's schedule. They know that soccer practice is this night, so we're going to have something easy that night, maybe something in the crock pot. But it's got to be one person. I know the biggest challenge is everybody's already overloaded. I get that. But it will be so much less stress if you just one person takes responsibility for it. So much less stress. You'll be so glad that you did. I know it sounds like a lot. Trust me, one person, be responsible for it. It'll save you money. It'll save you stress. You'll be glad that you did. Tip number 6 is follow a meal schedule. Now, my kids are older now, and this is one that I'm looking at it in retrospect, thinking that is such great advice. Because now it's something we actually struggle with. But when my kids were younger, and nobody had their own cars, and nobody had their own schedules, we had a scheduled breakfast time, a scheduled lunch time, and a scheduled dinner time. And that worked out so well in terms of making sure that people didn't have extra snacks, because one of the biggest questions I get is about kids who are coming home and snacking, or husbands who are coming home and snacking and saying that they're hungry, and they're eating off a meal schedule, and they're eating all of the extra things, and it's completely throwing off people's budgets. And I think part of that problem is that you're not on a regular meal schedule. So if you have someone who skips their breakfast, and then their lunch is at like 10:30 because they were starving because they skipped their breakfast, and then dinner time is not till 6 or 7, then you have this big gap of time and they've barely eaten. So of course they're going to be hungry at 3 or 4 and snack, but they're not really snacky. They're hungry for a whole meal. So they're going to eat a bunch of stuff. And then when dinner time comes, they're not even really going to be hungry. And it's a big pile of mess. It's a big just chaos. So don't do that. Have meals at regularly scheduled times. And that way everyone's body gets used to eating at certain time periods and being full at certain time periods. And if you structure your meals and everything on a schedule, then everyone's eating in a good way, getting plenty of nutrition, and you're not going to have that struggle with people wanting to snack all the time. And I did put, and I think it's worth mentioning, that on a side note, this makes people happier too, because nothing is worse when people have, grumpy attitudes because they're hungry, or hangry, as they say. So make sure that you're on that regular schedule, and then everyone will eat well, and you don't have to worry about all the extra snackiness. Tip number 7 is use Pinterest and experiment. I mentioned on one of my other videos about a friend that I had taken shopping, and I was trying to help her learn how to grocery shop well on a budget. And when we got to her house, she told me that one of her struggles was that she didn't really feel comfortable with her cooking skills. And I said, well, do you have internet access? And she said, no. I said, well, do you have a cookbook? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Every week, I want you to find some things in your cabinet that you're not going to use, and I want you to go to your cookbook and find something that you can make with those extra items. And I want you to try it. I want you to experiment at least once a week on something. It might be a huge success. It might be a complete failure. But the point is to get comfortable making things that you don't really know. Because no matter who you are, there's going to be a time when you actually have some ingredients and you have to make those ingredients last and stretch for a period of time. And we get questions every single week from people who say, I have this in my cabinet and I need to go for these many days. Tell me what I can make. you need to get comfortable with that. You need to get comfortable looking at your cabinet saying, these are the things that I have. What can I make with it? And either going to a cookbook or going to Pinterest and trying to come up with ideas that are going to satisfy your family. In addition to that, your family needs to be comfortable with the idea of eating something that's out of their realm, because that's how you're going to get by on a tight budget. And plus, it makes food fun. It makes it interesting. It makes it exciting and not boring. And, you know, when you're on a tight budget, the last thing you want it to be is boring. You don't want to come home every day to drudgery and be like, oh, cabbage soup again. No, you want to have something different. So you're going to have to mix it up, and that means you're going to have to experiment. My family loves it when I experiment. They love it whether it's a good experiment or a bad experiment. The thing is, with a bad experiment, always have a backup. Just saying. One of my favorite backups, by the way, is tortilla pizzas, because they're quick, they're easy. I can take tortilla out, throw some pizza sauce on it, throw stuff on it. We got dinner. But we almost never have to resort to the tortilla pizzas. Just throwing that out there as a bonus tip. But anyway, you want to experiment. You want to try some different things. And for the record, the great successes that we've had have come from these experiments. Our chili, our family eats chili pretty regularly, if you've seen my menu plans. And the chili recipe that we use is actually one that we came up with based on a day where I used to have my kids, one day a week, they would make the menu, and they would pick all of the different things that went on the menu that day. And they could look in the cookbooks and try to find something they would experiment with. And so my daughter actually picked vegetarian chili. She picked the vegetarian chili and sweet potato fries. Sweet potato fries, disaster. We didn't like those. But the chili has stayed forever. We have loved the chili, and we've just kept it. I experimented with pizza crust. I wanted to try to learn how to make homemade pizza crust. My first attempts at it were a complete failure. But now I've continued trying and practicing and doing different recipes, and now my family loves pizza crust when I make it. They like it better than when we eat out. So keep trying, even if one is a failure, like the sweet potato fries, maybe another sweet potato fry recipe would be good. But just keep experimenting, keep trying, get used to that, because that is what's going to make eating well on a budget fun and happy and exciting and something that the family wants to participate in, rather than feeling sad all the time, like, oh, we have to be on a budget. No, it's really a good thing. You can enjoy it. My last piece of advice. Are you ready for this? Number 8, always take what is freely given. Okay, this does not mean that everybody should go down to the local food pantry and like take everything that's there. No, that's really for people in need. What I mean is, if there's something that you have access to that's free, don't just leave it there. You know what I mean? So like our church every year, giving you an example, lots of people grow gardens, and I can't grow a garden. But everyone will bring in their extra produce. They'll bring in their extra tomatoes or cucumbers or squash or anything that they have that's extra. And all the church members divide it up. You know, everybody will take a couple of them and go home with them. Now, my husband and I are always the last ones to leave the church. Every single time there's a church service, because he locks up and makes sure everything is turned off. And so what that means is sometimes by the time we go to look at what's in the bag, it's all gone. And that's cool. But sometimes we'll go look in the bag and there's a ton of it there. And we don't leave any of it ever. Whatever is there, we will take, because no one's going to be in the building for several days, so we can't just let it sit there and rot. So everything that's there, we're going to take it home, and we're going to use it in one way or the other. It's free. We're going to make it work. I have a neighbor who's an older lady. She's from an older generation, and she's raising her granddaughters. And from time to time, she'll call us and say, hey, I've got some food here. And we'll go pick it up. And usually it's stuff that they don't really like. They've got it somehow and they're not really into it. So they'll send it to us. And I'm like, great, we'll take it. Anything that's free, we're going to take. Another example, our church had a party one time. It was like 6-foot long subs. And at the end of the party, there was a big box of fixins. You know, sliced tomatoes, sliced peppers, olives, lettuce, just a bunch of different fixins that went on the subs. And they were going to throw it away. And of course, we were last to leave. So I was like, no, let's not throw that away. I'll take all of that with me. And everybody was like, really? You're going to take that with you? Like it was something that was bad, like it was junk. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm taking that. I was so thrilled to take it with me. We used I pureed the tomatoes and I made a big old pot of chili. That was easy. And all the sliced peppers I froze, the sliced olives I froze. We used the lettuce and salad. We used every single bit of that, and I was thankful for it because it was free. Do you know how much that much produce would have cost me? So if there's something there and it's available and nobody's going to use it, take it, use it, every single bit of it. Another thing, Gleaning, that's also something that's free. I have some good friends who glean whenever they have an opportunity. Like my dad has a cherry tree. They live near him, and they've before asked him if they could take all the cherries off the tree and frozen them. They walk a bike trail or bike on a bike trail every year, and that bike trail has pawpaws. And so as they bike, they'll take pawpaws, and they've been doing it every year. And it's a gleaning thing that they do with their kids and their family. Our family, even at a local park, every year they have blackberries in the park, and you can go glean the blackberries, and we'll go pick a bunch of them and freeze them and use them for different recipes. So there might be a place. Make sure you're doing it legally. Make sure you ask. But there might be an opportunity for you to glean or forage even dandelion leaves and other things in your yard. Do that. Take advantage of every single thing that you can that's available to you for free. I think so many of us let opportunities for free things pass by because we underestimate their value, but don't do that. Free is a way better price than cheap. So get the free things as often as you can, make use of them, and don't let them go by the wayside. Every time you get an opportunity to do it, use it, and put that as part of your groceries. So that's it. That's my final 8 pieces of advice. You know, just 8 things to help you continue to make the most of your grocery budget. Little things that you might have overlooked or might not think about, but hopefully they'll help you to make the most of your grocery budget as you move forward. So anyway, I'm going to continue to talk about saving money on groceries in different ways. If you have any questions or ideas, let me know. Definitely leave it down in the comments. I hope you'll like this video. I hope you've liked every video in the series. And I hope if you haven't subscribed already that you will. We're closing in on 50,000. We want to meet our goal of 50,000 by the end of the year, and I hope you guys will support us in that. We're just super excited to be able to provide these opportunities to help you. Help your family and live better. So anyway, that's it. Come back tomorrow and you can see my actual grocery haul for this week. I have no idea what I'm going to buy just yet, but we're going to find out tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be on budget. I've been way under budget this month. It's been crazy. So, and if you haven't already checked it out, I did a mini grocery haul at the beginning of the week. I'll link that up there, and you can see a little bit of our Black Friday hauls there too. So anyway, you all have a wonderful week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Come back tomorrow, and we'll see you next time. Bye! Hey, thanks for watching. I'm really glad you came to visit us here at the Fundamental Home. Make sure if you enjoyed this video that you click the like button, and also click subscribe right below me for more videos coming into your inbox all the time. And also, if you enjoy social media, we've got links up at the top here for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all the other fun things. And check out thefundamentalhome.com for more information about what we're doing all the time and how we do it, because there's way more details there. And here over to the right, we have some videos that I recommend. So thanks again for coming by, and we'll see you next time. Bye!